Lostrum.
Hello, and welcome to something a little bit different. This is a flash game, as you can see, called The Children of Brinn, and it's a point-and-click adventure flash game that I found on armorgames.com. And I used to play a lot of flash games before I got more into consoles, and since I started playing more consoles, I stopped playing flash games altogether. So I kind of want to take a step back and see what kind of new flash games have come up since I stopped playing them. So this really piqued my interest because the art style is pretty awesome. Not just pretty, it's pretty awesome. I don't know anything about it besides the fact that it's a point-and-click adventure game. So I'm just gonna get started. These are your members of your party. Your sole purpose is to keep them alive on their quest. Information will be presented here. Your options and choices will be here. Click them to move on with the story. Oh, cool. So this seems to be like text-based RPG, sorta. Your party prepares to set out for their latest charge. They are the Children of Brinn, and they have been hired by a small village to the south called Dalar. The village's primary export and the backbone of their local economy is wine. Their vineyards are under siege by an unnatural threat. They want the children to stop it. Oops. The Children of Brinn are a mercenary band out of Ashban. They're a mixed lot, and anyone who can hold their own in combat can join their ranks. They function as a guild and can have some political support within the city. The jobs they take are primarily honest ones, escorting prisoners, bodyguarding important figures, and so on, but sometimes the end justifies the means, and this doesn't always make everyone happy. First from the order to join your band is Neville Grimson. He was a simple farm boy from Kamala, turned warrior after moving south and working the docks for bit. He signed on with several sellsword bands in his youth, but quickly learned to pick better companions. He has been with the children for 3 years and is a long way from home in the mountains. Linka is a Lemurian mage from Shade Forest. She served 2 years as a battle mage with her husband. One night he died in a skirmish, and she decided to retire regardless of her young age. She spent many years wandering the world, only recently settled in Ashban. Looking for work, she recently joined up, and while still green to the children, she has experience in war. Pentergast was a small-time crook for most of his youth. However, he finally got caught and was about to be sent to the mines when one of the children spoke for him and said they'd like to give him a second chance. He's been a member ever since. He does have his useful talents, disarming traps, unlocking doors, chests, and lightning pockets. He's of course not supposed to do any of this anymore unless directed to do so by a superior. That cat. What is this? Familiar. So he's a mage? Trickfoot has been a child of Brinn for 15 years. He's saved countless lives and has been on even more adventures. He suffered from an insatiable thirst for adventure and says he will die on the road or that he'll never die at all. He is skilled at healing magic and has proven himself a most valuable comrade. You're lucky that he has chosen your party. Fantastic, let us go. Your party sets out, leaving Brinn Hall behind. Their bags are packed and their horses are loaded. The first step of their journey lay right before them. Will is looking off in the distance, however. When asked about it, he points out a small tavern on the edge of town. He says, "Hey, we're going to be traveling for days and days. Let's grab a mug before we go." Sure. They all enter the Seven Tankard Lodge and find a booth up to the side. Above, a dancer in red silk shakes her hips on the stage, and to her side a bard plucks away at his lute. A loud game of dwarven poker being played not far from where the party all sit, yet no dwarves are seated at the game. Will speaks up to a waitress. "I'll have a pale ale and one for each of my friends." "Yes, yes, an ale for everyone." Will Pendergast slurps his ale eagerly and elbows Linka with a wink. She grumbles and shoots him a patronizing smile. Trickfoot leans over his ale and stares down at the swirling froth. I do not believe we should be using our time here. Let us quickly finish these drinks and make haste. We have an important job to help with the vineyards. Yeah, let's finish the one mug. Yes, let's finish the one mug, then get back to the road. We have a job. The four dust themselves off and mount up on their horses. Neville looks at the other three. Let's ride. They head out of Ashbane and down an old road to Denlar. They ride for several days until they come to a wagon parked on the road. There is no draft animal under the wagon's yoke, and it is covered with white canvas. Neville holds out his hand for everyone to stop and whispers, I've seen this before. It's a trap. Neville eases his horse and ahead a few steps and draws his hammer. Tell them to come out of the wagons or else. Neville holds up a hand and yells, Whoever is in the wagon, step out! He looks back to the other three to make sure they're ready. They nod. After a bit, though, no one steps out. He holds up his hand again. This is your final warning! Or set fire to the wagon with you in it. Wait! A woman's voice comes from inside. A woman and a man step from behind the wagon. The man holds a dagger to the woman's throat. He yells, Drop your weapons or I kill the woman! He's clearly abandoned and plans to use this woman as a hostage so he can rob your party. Linka, hit him with an acid bolt. Neville, do as he said, get close and take him down. Linka, hit him with an acid bolt. Linka flicks her finger and a slender green bolt of magic strikes the man in the face. The acid splatters onto the woman and she screams and falls to the ground kicking. Neville charges forward with his horse and tramples a man under the horse's hooves. He dies instantly. Two more men leap out from behind the wagon. Well, Linka, deal with them. The men take off in different directions. Will rides down and finishes him with a strike with his arm blades. Linka waves her hands and strikes the second in the back with another magic acid bolt. He falls to the ground, screams, then dies. The woman is still screaming and rubbing her face because of the splattered acid. Trickfoot, see if you can help her. Trickfoot and Neville restrain the woman, and Trickfoot wipes her face clear of the acid. He uses a healing spell and a numbing spell to stop the burning. She's going to be alright. She'll carry those scars forever, but at least she didn't die, Trickfoot informs the party. Unavoidable. The woman informs the group that she was on her way to Ashbane, and 4 bandits jumped her. The 4 stole her horse, and the rest set up this ambush. She thanks the party and continues her way to Ashbane. We're big damn heroes! Onward then. The party continues on, and eventually they reach the township of Delar. The village elders meet them and escort them through the town, towards the vineyard. We are very happy that you have all arrived. An evil has plagued our town for some time now. The elder speaks and waves his hand as if that somehow better illustrates his frustration with the village's problem. Neville kindly nods and continues to listen. The elder continues, Our grapevines are being consumed at an alarming rate. Giant cave locusts attack every morning. They darken the sky, there are so many. We've never seen such a number before. He leads the party to the vineyards, and they are indeed bare. He points to several dead locusts on the ground. Some are almost as big as a house cat. House cat locusts! We've had them before. Every vineyard does, but so many. And then this man shows himself and demands we pay him or they will never stop coming. The elder stops for a moment to catch his breath. He's clearly worked up. The elder swallows and then continues. We ran him out of town, and one of our boys followed him to a cave in the east. He's living there, and we think that's where he's casting his magic from. We would pay you to stop him rather than pay his ransom. Neville nods. We can do that. Linka speaks up. I have never heard of this kind of magic, though. Elder nods. Nor I. But whatever he's doing, the locusts must be coming from that cave. And why else would he return to them? Trickfoot pats the elder's back. We will look into this and return with news. You did well choosing us. You and your family and friends can rest easy. We will return shortly. The elder seems comforted by this and waves all the villagers back to town. They leave the party standing there, facing east. Neville takes a deep breath. All right, to the caves in the east, I suppose. The party quickly explores the forest, looking for the entrance to the cave. When they find it, they see it is marked with 2 small torches. Well, someone is living in there, and they're not even trying to hide it, whispers Will. Trickfoot adds, the cave could be massive or tiny. And I bet there is just one entrance. Linka, grab a torch. It will be dark inside. What if I don't want the torch? Linka pulls one of the torches free from the cliffside, next to the narrow entrance of the cavern. She holds it up so that everyone can see as you enter the cave. Nebel, Will, or Linka. What if I wanted Trickfoot to leave? Linka's got the light, but Will's the thief. We can check for traps, so... Will, you lead. Will takes the lead and asks that Linka walk directly behind him with the torch overhead. The party pushes down the narrow cavern until it opens into a larger room. Will quickly grabs Linka's arm and stops her. Then he motions to the floor. On the floor grows a carpet of small green mushrooms. Shriekers, Will whispers to the other. Follow me around them. He leads the party around them. Whoever lives in this cavern must have planted them here as a kind of an alarm system. In the next room, the sounds of crackling fire and lizardmen chatter can be heard. They speak in hissing sound, followed by deep throat clicking. There must be 13 or 14 of them. Will waves everyone down, and he crawls behind a stalagmite. He then quickly takes a look. They're gathered around a fire, and they're armed with pole arms. Sneak past. The party crawls on all fours until they're past the lizardmen. They crawl through the second room with 2 prison boxes in it, and 2 more lizard guards with shields and swords. Then they head down a narrow hall and into a room filled with crates and weapon racks. There are a few barrels and a large, heavy door with metal rivets in it. Will motions towards the door and then quietly pads over to it. Will leans into the door and listens for a bit. He then whispers, "There is a large lizard dragonkin. There's a dragonkin on the other side. A guard. We'll have to take him out." Neville nods. "Alright, we will ambush him and kill him as quickly as possible." Will begins to move to the exposed hinges from the door and then waits for the others to prepare themselves. Will pulls the final pin and leaps back. The door falls as a giant dragonkin lizard turns suddenly. He's surprised. He grabs his 2-handed axe, but is too slow. Trickfoot's blinding spell hits him, and he stumbles back. Neville starts hammering him over and over, trying to find a weakness. Linka blasts him with a bolt after bolt of acid. Eventually, the group wears the blind lizard down. He was blind? The lizardman lays there, now dead. Neville checks his throat for a pulse and gives Will a nod. Will leads into the next room, which is filled with large locusts all on the walls, the ceiling, everywhere. This is where they breed. At the back of the room there is a polished door with a fine handle. This must be where the leader lives. Will picks the lock and eases the door open quietly. The man, clearly the mastermind, by the nice room and his clothing, sits at the desk writing. A large curved sword rests next to him. Will turns to Neville for the go-ahead. Neville nods yes. Will sneaks in smoothly and cuts the man's throat. He wipes his hand on the man's shirt and moves back to Neville's side. "It was a ruse!" "Just kidding. That was a messy work, but you did well," Neville whispers to Will. Will smiles a thank you to him. "Now lead us out of here," Linka adds, looking at Will while smiling herself. Will gives them both a nod and he leads them out back. "You have succeeded! Your score was 3K74. What? That was it? That's the whole game? Damn it! I'm going drinking. Yeah, sail for everyone. Now this is great. I'm gonna read this because I haven't been here. Neville, against his better judgment, orders a second round of drinks. Will cheers, then mugs arrive. They all relax and sit and notice the dwarves game is getting a bit rowdy. Some of the players begin yelling at each other, and one throws a handful of cards at another. Linka whispers, "Are all taverns in the human kingdom this rowdy?" Will whispers back, "Only the good ones." Will, go tell those ruffians to quiet down. They're bothering our lady. Will saunters over to the 4 men and holds out a hand bravely. "The lady wishes you all to remain silent for the remainder of our stay. Please show a little respect for the fair sex." Linka looks at Neville. "I never said that." Neville shrugs. One of the men throws a punch at Will! Bar fight! Get him! Will ducks the punch, but a second man catches him in the temple with a leather sap. Will falls to the floor with a thud. Thickfoot leaps from his chair and lands squarely on the center of your table. Then he starts to cast a spell. His beholder squeaks and darts out the window. Linka looks a bit shaken, unfamiliar with this kind of environment, but she moves in behind Nibble to offer himself. Help. Take them out! One of the men presents a knife and puts it to Will's throat. I'll cut him out, Will. Linka! Acid bolt to his face! Linka waves her hands and sends a magic bolt of acid flying. It hits the armed man in the face and he screams! He flings Will to the floor and drops his blade to the ground. Will's head hits the corner of a stool with a loud pop. Acid bolts to the face are never good. The other men engage and Nibble charges forth, smashing into them. He pulls off his helmet and crushes the first man's face, even though a second one stabs him under his right arm with a steak knife. Trickfoot casts a spell and a ball of bright light flashes and hits one of the drunken men. The man falls backwards and collapses on the floor, dead asleep. Oh God! After it is all said and done, the first man dies from his burns to the face, and Will dies from a concussion. Several of the men have serious injuries, as does Nibble. The guards show up and wish to arrest whoever killed the first man. Nibble says it was him in order to protect Linka, and they arrest him instead. Most likely they will release him later. Damn it! Thickfoot shakes his head. That went terrible! Now what do we do? I knew we shouldn't have gone in there. Linka frowns. I guess we continue with our assignment? Trickfoot pets. Beholder flaps back and perches on his shoulder. Yes, we have a job. Continue. The remaining 2 members of your party pack their things and leave the city. They travel down the cobbled path in the south, a road used by many travelers and traders. It's daunting having not even left the city yet and already bad luck has befallen your hero, but they push on. The road to Dalar is a long but straight one. The 2 travel for 2 days until they encounter a wagon on the 3rd day. The wagon is parked, and no horse or ox appears to be under its yoke. Ignore it, or send the beholder. Send the beholder! The little beholder flies over and peeks over the top of the wagon. He looks behind it, even under it. He flutters up to the front and peeks inside, and then shrieks. The beholder flies away to hide in the nearby woods. It's a trap! Run for it! As the companions urge their horses into a run, men pile out on the back of the wagon. One of them fires a bolt from his crossbow that grazes Linka's arms, but she keeps riding. After several minutes, the men are out of sight, and without horses of their own and you on the move, they will never catch up. Stop and heal her arm. They really got me, those bastards, Linka says, as she holds out her arm for Trickfoot to clean. The 2 rest by the road for a few moments, while he carefully wraps her wound. As they sit, one of the horses makes a nervous sound. When Trickfoot looks up, a crossbow bolt hits him in the throat, and he gasps for air. The bandits did follow and caught up. They shouldn't have stopped to rest. No, Linka, run! Linka leaps up and flings an acid bolt from her finger at the attackers. It misses them, but splatters nearby and misses them with burning acid droplets. They scream and pad their wounds widely. Thickfoot falls dead to the ground, and Linka flees, leaving her friend behind. She slides down a bank into the forest's edge. She breathes hard and waits quietly to see if they follow. They do not. Head deeper into the forest so they cannot follow. Linka travels deeper into the forest, and the bandits do not follow. It seems they primarily wanted the horses and supplies, and they were willing to kill for it. She stops by a small brook to get a drink and decide her next plan of action. Damn bandits on such a well-traveled road! Who would have guessed? She thinks to herself. There is a rustle in the trees overhead. She looks up, only to see a frightened beholder fluddle down to her shoulder. It is Trickfoot's companion, and he seems very sad. Do you know what happened, little guy? She whispers to him as he nuzzles up to her neck and cries. Move on, head to Delar's plans. Linka finishes the voyage to Delar alone. She had no food, and had to scavenge for sustenance along the way. Without a horse to ride, she was late and very exhausted. The village elder comes out to meet her. What is going on here? Why is it just you? He asks, his voice clearly angry. We were attacked by bandits on the road. My companions, they were slain. Linka stops talking for a moment and tries to compose herself. This is unacceptable! First the council refuses to send us aid, so we hire mercenaries, and then they can't even survive the roads. This is nonsense! Lone traders travel that road sometimes. How can we expect you to solve our problems if you can't even solve your own? The elder waves his hands wildly as he shouts. This will not do. I am sorry, but we will not pay you. We will give you food and water, and you can return to your home. The elder waves Linka away and returns to his hut. The parties failed their mission. Oh my god. Well, I guess I could just keep playing this over and over again, but I guess I technically got the best and then the worst round I could possibly go for, so I'll just wrap it up at this. I'll try a couple other point-and-click games. This wasn't exactly a point-and-click. I pointed and clicked at the text, but I don't know. We'll see what I can find. If there's something maybe that comes up to mind if you play Flash games, or any kind of like free-to-play download games, I don't know. If there's something you maybe want me to look at, post a comment, let me know how you like the video or whatever. So yeah. Acid bolt to the face!